In the beginning was Daytona.
Here we go.
The birthplace of speed, the launch pad of legends, the great American race.
Oh, they're in the wall.
It's always been,
Keep digging, stay in the gas.
and will always be, the proving ground for greatness.
Let's go, boys.
Every driver looking to be remembered, every fan looking for something they'll never forget. Secure your seats now at Daytona500.com.
Roll Tide and welcome to this Tuesday edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. This is Roger Hoover. Great to be with you from our Tuscaloosa studios as we're back in action twice a week for Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 2 o'clock right here on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. We're getting set for LSU week. The LSU Tigers in town for a huge matchup in the SEC West coming up on Saturday, and we'll start to go through our show by taking a look at what's coming up thanks to our friends at RJ Young. RJ Young is the official technology solutions provider of Crimson Drive, and they'll help us go through what's coming up on the show, plus our headlines for today. First of all, we'll have a one-on-one conversation with Crimson Tide linebacker Deontae Lawson, get his thoughts on what the defense did well against Tennessee, how they use the open date to their advantage, and what has to happen coming up this Saturday against LSU. Then we'll have a conversation with a college football Hall of Famer, former Crimson Tide center, and Mississippi State head coach Sylvester Croom. A great opportunity to visit with him as he'll be one of the honorary captains coming up this Saturday for Alabama against LSU. We'll take a look back to all the fun we had, especially in the second half when Alabama blanked Tennessee with our Tennessee booth cam highlights. Then we'll hear from the head coach of the Crimson Tide, Nick Saban, with Coach's Checklist. And then we'll take a look back to last night's edition of Crimson Tide Rewind at Baumhauer's in Vestavia Hills, another edition of Be Kind Crimson Tide Rewind, getting the latest thoughts from Corey Reamer on Alabama football. Speaking of the Crimson Tide football team, again, last week was the lone open date of the season after Alabama played 8 games in a row to start the season. Now this week, back in action against the LSU Tigers. 6:45 will be the start time coming up on Saturday. Our radio coverage will start a little earlier than normal at 3:30 coming up on Saturday, so an extended pregame show for what's going to be a huge matchup. Alabama against LSU. Crimson Tide now back in the top 10, ranked number 8 in the AP poll. College football playoff ranking will come out later tonight, the first one of the year from the College Football Playoff Committee. And then ESPN's College Game Day is returning to campus here at the Capstone. First time they've been back since earlier this season for the Texas game. It's always a lot of fun to have the Game Day crew in Tuscaloosa. Crimson Tide soccer team closing out the regular season last Thursday with a 2-1 victory against the Missouri Tigers. Strong victory there. And now this week, it's time for the SEC tournament in Pensacola. Later tonight, it's Alabama against Mississippi State. Alabama, the number 5 seed for the tournament that last year they made it to the championship game of. So we're still hoping for Wes Hart and the Crimson Tide to win Alabama's first ever SEC tournament if they can get 3 victories coming up this week in Pensacola. Great honors from the SEC for Alabama. Felicia Knox, Gianna Paul, Jessica Skorka, all named first team All-SEC. And then Nadia Ramadan, who's been scoring a lot of goals lately for the Crimson Tide. She has been named to the SEC All-Freshman team. First time this year, we have basketball. First time in the school year, at least, that we've had basketball with its own slide as part of our headlines presented by RJ Young. That's because the men's basketball team was in action over the weekend, playing Wake Forest and Winston-Salem in a charity exhibition game. Wake Forest did get the win, 88-80, but it was great to see Aaron Estrada lead the way for the Crimson Tide with 24 points. Speaking of exhibition basketball, coming up tomorrow, it'll be the Alabama women's basketball team at home against Alabama Huntsville for a 5:30 start at Coleman Coliseum. No broadcast of that game, but the season opener not only for women's basketball, but men's basketball coming up next week at Coleman Coliseum with an exciting doubleheader. On Monday, we'll talk more about that coming up on our Thursday edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. And some other notes around Crimson Tide athletics. The volleyball team pushed Auburn to a 4th set on Sunday, but ultimately the Tigers got the win 3-1. And coming up this week, on Friday, they will be in College Station to take on Texas A&M Friday at 6:30. The men's golf team, another win. More milkshakes for Jay Sewell and the boys as they win the Steelwood Team Championship. The women's golf team, also a great showing, 5th at the Landfall Tradition. Taylor Kehoe, great results on the links for the Crimson Tide women's golf team, so we're certainly thrilled for their success. Thrilled as well for the play of the Alabama defense and Deontae Lawson, the signal caller, one of the key leaders on this team. He details what went right against Tennessee and what's coming up this Saturday against LSU. It's one of our one-on-one conversations with Crimson Tide football players this week on Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. Deontae, Roll Tide, just what does it mean to start LSU week here in Tuscaloosa?
Just another opportunity for our team. Just a big game for us, and we just got to do everything we can through the week to prepare.
Well, the last time we saw you guys, a great performance against Tennessee. How'd the defense get better as the game went on, not allowing any points in the second half?
I think we just came together and realized we got to stop making these mistakes. Penalties kind of caught us a little bit. We just came together and tried to execute our job the best we could and found a way to do it.
Certainly did, and everyone points to no points for the Vols in the second half, but how important was it in the first half to limit them to some field goals? What's made this red zone defense good?
I think practice. We work on situation football every day, so I think that's a big key in it. And to limit them to 0 points in the second half is a salute to our defense that we did that.
You got to love defensive touchdowns as well. What'd you see on the scoop and score that Jahad Campbell had? The hit obviously leveled by Chris Braswell.
Yeah, it was just a great move by Brass to get the hit in the quarterback. Ball came out. Jahad went to go scoop and score, and that was just a big momentum swing in the game for us.
How much did you enjoy the post-game celebration with cigars in the locker room?
Oh, yeah, that's always a great time. Just to see everyone happy, to get the dub, just to keep that tradition going. It's always a great feeling.
Happy to get the win. Happy to have the open date as well. How'd you guys use last week to get better?
We just prepare just like we always do. Just make sure we try to, stay locked in and not, just because we have an off week, like take it easy or anything. So just same thing we always do and just get better from that.
Now you get ready to take on a really talented LSU team led by a good quarterback in Jaden Daniels. What makes him tough to defend?
He got great speed. He's a smart quarterback. He's been in the game, so he knows, he sees everything. We just got to contain him and try to limit his explosive plays.
Coach Saban really challenged the crowd to get loud at a lot of moments against Tennessee. Obviously, the same thing's going to happen this week. Just how do you guys feed off that crowd energy when you guys are on the field on defense?
Yeah, it's great. We love it. Kind of give us some more intensity than we usually have. But, it's great. We love the fans, and we want that same energy come every time.
We look forward to it on Saturday. Deontae Lawson, thank you for joining us. Roll Tide.
Sir, thank you. Roll Tide.
Crimson Drive is driven by NASCAR, and NASCAR is kicking off the 2024 regular season with the Daytona 500 on February 18th, 2024. Don't miss the opportunity to experience history as the drivers battle it out at one of NASCAR's most iconic tracks. More than 100,000 fans will be on the edge of their seat as they watch drivers race for the win at nearly 200 miles per hour. Join them and purchase your tickets today at Daytona500.com and get ready to experience one of the best atmospheres in sports. We go from one of the current stars in the Crimson Tide football team, Deontae Lawson, to a Hall of Famer in Sylvester Croom, who was a center for the Crimson Tide in the early 1970s, won 3 SEC championships, a national championship as well, before he went on to a great coaching career that included being the head coach at Mississippi State. Sylvester Croom, he's one of our 2 honorary captains coming up this Saturday for Alabama against LSU, and he joins us as our Alabama Legend of the Week. Coach Croom, thank you so much for joining us. What does it mean to you to get back to the capstone and have this recognition this weekend?
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing some my former teammates. A lot of those guys will be there that I played with 1973 and 74, but especially in 73 because that was a great year for us. We had a good football team and we enjoyed being around each other. So I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of those guys who I haven't seen in several years.
Well, we'll look forward to that again, commemorating a great team. You were part of 3 SEC championship teams, that 1973 national championship team as well. Just what made your playing career special here at the University of Alabama?
Well, it was one playing for Coach Bryant, and 2 playing with a lot of good football players on good football teams. When I was in high school there at Tuscaloosa High School, we didn't win very many games, and then to transition from that to playing at the University of Alabama and playing for Coach Bryant, where you were expected to win every time you went out, was a unique experience, and that was something I enjoyed, especially during the '73 season, because because of the bond we had with one another as players and players with coaches as well.
Of course, you're part of a great offensive line that helped the Wishbone offense rack up a lot of yards on the ground. Just what made that offense so good during your time in Tuscaloosa?
Well, it all started with Gary Rutledge, and Richard Todd was his backup. So we had two very good quarterbacks, and then we had great running from Wilbur Jackson, from Randy Billingsley, who was not only a hard-nosed, tough runner, but probably one of the best blocking backs ever to play in the Wishbone offense at Alabama, anywhere else in the country. So we had good receivers and Wayne Wheeler, and then tight end George Pugh was a threat for big plays as well. So really, there wasn't any weakness on offense, but it all started, with Gary Rutledge. He was just outstanding that season, running and throwing the football.
And of course, you guys would just wear down your opponents as time would go on. Did you always relish that moment when you and your teammates on the offensive line could kind of see as you were lining up to the ball that the opponent was getting pretty tired of seeing the Crimson Tide come at them time and time again?
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, really, it was a lot of fun winning because it wasn't about you never win in a game we thought we weren't the best team and that we were going to win. I mean, that was again transitioning from a high school team that again, like I said, where you didn't expect to win to thinking, hey, we're going to blow these guys out every time we go out there. And we just had a lot of fun, man. And like I say, we felt like we could score from at any time, anywhere on the field, and quite often we did.
What kind of motivator was Coach Bryant, especially maybe not even for some of the big games, but some of the games you were expected to win, but he knew he had to work hard to make sure you guys are ready to go? Just what kind of motivator was he in the locker room?
Coach Bryant had different ways of motivating, and he'd encourage you, he'd pat you on the back, but quite often he would use fear as a motivator, and it was we had a lot of interesting experiences. But I think that year we played VPI, and I think Coach Bryant was legendary for his toughness. And like I said, I played for him in the years I played for him, and in the years I coached for him. The only really intense berating he ever gave a football team was at halftime of the VPI game. Remember now, we beat VPI that year. I think it was 73-6. But they scored on us in the last 3 minutes of the half. And when we went in at halftime, I mean, he ripped us up all over the dressing room, man. We're sitting there in shock because it could be. We leading, I think it was 35-6 at the half, and we just getting ripped from one end to the other. And I'm sitting there thinking, I mean, I was just in shock. But you learn one thing. I mean, the things that he emphasized that it took to win, what he was doing was he wasn't concerned about that game. He was concerned about the games down the road and making sure that we understood that the things that he thought, he always talked about, don't let the importance of the last 5 minutes of each half and the first 5 minutes of each half of not letting the opponent getting the best of you. And that game, he made an emphasis of it.
That's a great story. And of course, for you, a great playing career at Alabama, 1 year in the NFL, and then you came back to the capstone in 1976 to, as you mentioned, serve on Coach Bryant's coaching staff. What was that transition like for you? You're only a year removed from playing with a lot of these players that now all of a sudden you're coaching. How did he help you, mentoring you in your early years as an assistant coach?
Well, first of all, Coach Bryant was the reason I got into coaching. He asked me before I went to the New Orleans Saints. He said if things didn't work out, he wanted me to come back and be a graduate assistant. And I wanted to get my master's degree, and so I did that. Never expecting to really go into coaching full time, but after I think it was in the spring of 1977, Duke Hennessy was coaching our outside linebackers. Coach Hennessy decided to retire, and Coach Bryant hired me as a coaching outside linebackers coach. And that's how my coaching career started. Again, my coaching career, I owe it all to him because it was at his motivation, and he gave me the opportunity.
Certainly glad he did. It led to a great career for you, and of course, recognition from the College Football Hall of Fame as one of its Hall of Famers. What did that honor mean to you in 2022?
Well, that's the ultimate when you play college football to be recognized, particularly like I say, it's almost 50 years after I played, to still be worthy enough and be honored as one of the great college football players. It means a great deal for my legacy for my family, and I hope it'll serve to motivate other youngsters who may not be greatly recognized coming out of high school or recognized as a truly great talent, but just has the desire and the work ethic to use whatever skills they have to make the best of it. Because I never considered myself a great athlete, but I always felt like anybody I competed against or worked with, that I was not going to be outworked. And that attitude, along with motivation and direction from a bunch of great coaches and playing with great teammates, helped me to achieve a lot of things.
Speaking of legacy, again, we're recognizing the 1973 team coming up on Saturday. For any younger fans or any current Crimson Tide players who may hear about the 1973 group, what would be, just in a few sentences, how you would describe that team and what it meant to Alabama's football legacy and tradition?
Well, the first thing is the team came first, and there were no egos on that team. There were a lot of individuals with a great deal of personal pride, but we really took pride in wearing that crimson jersey, and we wanted to be recognized, not so much as in our minds, we wanted to be recognized as the best football team to ever play at Alabama. And for Alabama players, if you don't have to, when you wear the crimson jersey, you really don't have to worry about the opposition, about the other team. If you just be the best Alabama team that ever played, if you strive to be that, then that'll be good enough to beat the rest of those guys.
Tremendous legacy. Well, Coach Croom, thank you so much for joining us here on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. We hope you and your teammates have a fun weekend in Tuscaloosa as Alabama hosts LSU, and we look forward to connecting again down the road. But just thank you for your time. Roll Tide, sir.
Roll Tide.
Where will you be on game day? Be a part of the action with a premium reserve tailgate from Game Day Done Right. Get your group together, pick your game and tailgate package, add on catering, beverages, and other tailgating amenities, and let Game Day Done Right take it from there. Enjoy all the fun of game day with zero stress. Visit GameDayDoneRight.com to reserve your tailgate today. For your next tailgate, just add people. Game Day Done Right is the exclusive provider of reserved tailgating opportunities for the University of Alabama and offers packages for all group sizes for a single game or for the entire season. We certainly had some fun inside the broadcast booth on October 21st, the third Saturday in October. Alabama posting an impressive 34-20 win against the Tennessee Volunteers. We always have the Royal Furniture Booth Cam streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. We hope you can join us coming up this Saturday for Alabama against LSU. If you missed it from the Tennessee game, here's some of the great highlights from what turned out to be a terrific win for Alabama against Tennessee.
Remember, Coach Saban on Thursday night asked for noise from the fans. And Lord, everybody is responding to that request. Here's the snap. Milroe looks, fires, end zone, touchdown, Jermaine Burton. That was a bullet, a 10-yard bullet, and my goodness, did Alabama ever need that? Now those men go towards the formation. So everybody is tight. The quarterback gets the snap, goes right, cuts left, and I don't know if he got there. I don't know if he got there. I don't know if he made it. I think Alabama took away the outside, and when he tried to cut back, I don't believe he made it.
Yeah, he's short. Dallas Turner had a chance in the backfield, and like you said,
about that?
he wanted to get to the edge, and Dallas Turner forced it back up, and there was just enough help. I thought he was going to be able to get across the 35, but he did not.
Milroe on the give. Jace McClellan, he's down the near sideline. He takes off scampering, and he's out across the 45, down to the 43-yard line. A 29-yard run on the first play from scrimmage. Here's the snap. Milroe stands in, loads up long, looking, got him. Touchdown! Touchdown! Isaiah Bond, 46 yards. Touchdown, Alabama. Lordy, we needed that. It'll be a 42-yard field goal attempt for Will. Kick is on the way. It is up. And it is good. Milton looks right, looks left, looking down. Sack number 1. Everybody from Tennessee huddling up together. In tight. Shotgun snap. Give to Sampson. He's not going to get there.
Not even close.
That was Jihad Campbell. Jihad Campbell. Now in motion. Here's Milroe. Has protection. He throws across the middle. It is caught and held on to magnificently by Jermaine Burton. Now Jace McClellan in the lineup. He's lined up to the right side of Milroe. Here comes Alabama now on the give. Far side, cutting it up the field and taking it in. Jace McClellan. Touchdown, Alabama. Give a big thank you to Malik Benson, who threw a wonderful block. Here's the kick. Plenty of leg. On the way. It is good. It is good. A 50-yard field goal. Alabama now watching as the quarterback, Milton, stands in. The ball is knocked free. It's picked up by Alabama. And rumbling in for the touchdown is the Crimson Tide's Jihad Campbell. 2:07 to go. Big fourth down play. Milton stands in, backpedals. There's going to be some holding. Are they going to call it? No. But the ball is thrown away out of the back of the end zone, looking for Squirrel White. And that is an incompletion. And Alabama is within shouting distance of a win. Here now the quarterback under pressure. And he is going down all the way back at his own 40-yard line. Dallas Turner, Chris Braswell combined for the second sack of the day for the Alabama Crimson Tide. The Tide is back to their winning ways here in 2023. Final of 34-20.
And now I can take a sigh of relief. This was an awesome win for this Alabama football team. A completely different football club in the second half from what we saw. I mean, nothing was going right in the first half, but they turned it around. Whatever was discussed, whatever focus these players had, it really showed as they dominated this second half.
Christian Miller, you're normally in the locker room during halftime. What was said that flipped the light switch to get this team to change?
The coaches just told these guys, look, we know we can play a lot better than what we're playing. We just have to go out there and execute and get our mind right. And that's exactly what they did. The switch was flipped. And I'll be honest, we looked a little flustered in that first half by the tempo of the offense, but we definitely answered the bell in the second half and responded the right way. We held them to be scoreless on defense. It came over with a crucial turnover with Braswell's sack. But look, my only complaint is we got to do this 60 minutes in the game. I love the way we played in the second half, but we can do that in the first half as well. We just have to come out swinging.
Indeed so, well said.
It's a glimpse of what this team is capable of, and they're proving it on the field of what they're capable of. And like Christian just said, they're awfully dangerous when they play at their potential.
In the beginning was Daytona,
Here we go.
the great American race. Every driver looking to be remembered. Every fan looking for something they'll never forget. Secure your seats now at Daytona500.com.
Booth Cam highlights were fun against Tennessee, but now this week it's all business after the open date, getting ready for Saturday against the LSU Tigers, and that was the theme of Coach Saban's press conference on Monday in Tuscaloosa.
So I know that, bye weeks at this time in the season can be very beneficial, and I think in a lot of ways to our team it was very beneficial. I think we got lots of guys that were banged up a little bit, some rest and limited reps so that they could heal up. And of course, we won't know how well that happens until we see how they respond this week. And we got a lot of good repetitions on future opponents as well as LSU, in the bye week. So that should enhance, our preparation, for this game. So, as I told the players when they left Thursday after practice, I wanted them to enjoy their time off, but I also wanted them to be focused and ready to go and all in when we get back, because, LSU is a really, really good team. They're probably one of the best teams in the country right now. I know they are the best team in the country on offense. We're going to need an excellent attention to detail, focus, good technical preparation in the game, so that, everybody plays responsibility football, whether it's offense, defense, or special teams. I think this has developed into sort of a, rivalry game, because they're always ranked, we're always ranked. It's always a big game relative to, what happens in our division. So it's an important game for, both teams. I think Brian Kelly has done a phenomenal job, bringing this team along, the improvement that they made, the kind of team they had a year ago, as well as, even a better team that they have, this year, in terms of what they've been able to accomplish and what they've been able to do. And I think it starts with their offense. They're the #1 offensive team in the country. And, it starts with the quarterback, Jaden Daniels. I mean, this guy's a phenomenal player. He's a dual threat player. He's a great passer. He makes lots of plays with his feet. He's fast. Not only can scramble to run, but can scramble to throw. They've got a really good running back in Logan Diggs. They got a good tight end in Mason Taylor. Neighbors and Brian Thomas are really, really good receivers, but they have also other good skill guys to go with them. Their offensive line is big and physical, and they're able to create great balance on offense. So it's going to be very challenging for us to be able to, play the kind of disciplined football that you need to be able to play and not make mistakes, tackle well in the game, and be physical and try to win on the line of scrimmage, which is going to be challenging. Defensively, they are good players. They're a good front seven. They're big. They're physical. And, they play well together, as a team. I think that, sometimes they've had some struggles in the secondary, some guys injured and different things like that. But they also make a lot of big plays. They can rush. They affect the quarterback. And they can cover. So this is going to be a challenge game for us from that standpoint too. And these guys have a lot of good athletes and a lot of really good team speed, so that makes them really good on special teams. They have good specialists, so this is a really, really good team all the way around. K-Law is really a great competitor, really tough, physical guy. He is a little different than some of our other receivers, so he does have, a role to play and does a really good job of that. He's a great special teams player, really good team guy, hard worker. And I think, we'll try to always have roles for him to play in the game that benefit his skill set and complement the other guys that we have in the game.
Tomorrow's a big day as well, your birthday. Do you want anything for your birthday? What are you doing? Anything different? You're just locked into the game?
No, I mean, it's game's the most important thing. That would be an outstanding birthday present if we could play well in this game, and so that's what I'm focused on, and that's what we're really trying to do. When your birthday and holidays come up in football season, they're really not holidays and they're really not birthdays. You get older, but you don't really celebrate much.
The 2024 Daytona 500 is right around the corner, and you won't want to miss this once-in-a-lifetime experience. Bring the whole family and purchase your tickets today at Daytona500.com. So we heard the focus from Coach Saban about LSU, and that was really the focus of last night's Crimson Tide Rewind as well, presented by the Alabama Department of Public Health at Baumhower's Victory Grill in Vestavia Hills. As Corey Reamer and I discussed Alabama football through 8 games this season, plus what needs to happen coming up on Saturday against the LSU Tigers. Here is Be Kind, Crimson Tide Rewind. Alabama, of course, was off this past weekend for the lone open date of the season. So tonight, Corey, we're going to talk about the first 8 games of the year and the very important 4 that are still on the schedule coming up in November.
A much-needed break for a lot of us, all of us included. It's exhausting to do this show every Monday night, and good to see the players had a chance to get some much-needed rest. You know, it's a grueling season when you've gone through 8 games without a break, and we've had some tough games, some physical games, and now we've got this home stretch of games left. Starting this weekend with LSU, we've still got Auburn and Kentucky. They announced it at, 11 o'clock kick coming
Central,
up
yep.
next weekend. So we've got some tough games in Chattanooga in there as well. So this is going to be a little bit of a home stretch that we needed this break, and the players hopefully took advantage of it. I saw a bunch of good clips, the things that you like to see from teams that are taking breaks. Some guys stuck around Tuscaloosa, get a little extra film work in, get some workout, stay kind of engaged mentally while giving their bodies a break, and that's what you want to see. I mean, it's been a good season so far. You know, obviously the loss to Texas is the one blemish on the schedule so far, but they've played well. And this team coming into this season, we weren't really sure what was going to, what this team was going to look like, how this team was going to really turn out. And these guys have gotten better each and every single week. I would say they're exceeding expectations from what we saw early on. They've continued to grow, continue to get better. That offensive line is improving. Jalen Milroe is doing a great job of protecting the football now this part of the season. And this defense has really turned it on the last couple of weeks. And hopefully, this momentum that we had in the second half of the Tennessee game continues to carry on for the rest of the season.
And the remarkable thing to me is there's just no panic with this football team. Even in the Texas loss, you fall behind. You still are able to take a lead in the fourth quarter. And then some really tough places to play when you're trailing, like at Texas A&M on the road at halftime. You come back and win that ball game, trailing at home to Ole Miss, Tennessee. The Arkansas game got interesting at the end. But still, this team has found a way to make the key plays.
Yeah, which is kind of uncommon for such a young team that we have out there, guys that don't have a lot of experience. I was watching last year's LSU game, some of the highlights from it, and just from it, seeing all the names that were out there that are no longer with us in this program. So a lot of new faces, a lot of inexperienced guys that are being trained. Coach Saban does a great job of really honing in and asking these guys to focus on what we've got to do so that the moment doesn't become too big for you and we don't get caught up in the emotions of the game. And this team has really bought into that. And it's huge for such a young team to have that ability in some of the situations that we've been in, because we've had some tough tests that have come down to the fourth quarter. A lot of us really enjoyed a few years ago when the fourth quarter of the game was always in hand and you got to see some guys that were younger get some reps, get some backups in. But that's not the case this year. And these guys are having to fight all the way till the end of the ball game, and they've been able to do it. It's been impressive. I'm excited to see how they finish off this season, and it's a lot to play for this week.
Then we got to hear Jahad Campbell on a highlight there, because he was not only one of the SEC Defensive Players of the Week for his strong play against Tennessee, but the Bronco Nagurski National Defensive Player of the Week award went to Jahad Campbell, who maybe before the season we weren't talking about very much.
Yeah, he was a guy that, obviously you have Tresman Marshall and then Deontae Lawson starting at the middle linebackers, and Jahad Campbell was a guy that the coaching staff was excited about, but where was he going to fit in for this defense? And he was a little banged up in camp. We've mentioned that a couple times before, but he's come along awesome. It's been great to see him play. He's a guy that just has a high motor. He just gets after the football. He's all over the field. He filled in when Deontae Lawson goes down, makes the most of his opportunities, and it's one of those things that you keep putting good film out there, they're going to find ways to get you involved in the game plan, because you just can't have a guy like him sitting on the sideline. He's just he makes too much of an impact on the game, and it's good that he got recognized. Had a huge game. That 4th and 1 stop was huge last week against Tennessee, and then obviously the scoop and score where he's able to hold on to it, get all the way in the end zone. That was massive. But he's a guy that's got a lot of potential. He's a heck of a player.
We're 8 games into this Crimson Tide football season. Where have you seen the impact of Kevin Steele as Alabama's defensive coordinator the most?
I think it's really the mentality. Last year, it just seemed like we were missing a little edge on the defensive side of the football, and we just weren't playing as physical that we are accustomed to seeing Alabama defenses playing. They call it the joyless murder ball, I think is what they've referred to it as. And we didn't have that last year. It was just we were kind of getting pushed around. Offenses were moving the ball up and down the field on us last season. We'd get stops when we got into the red zone, but it wasn't that physical play that we're starting to see out of this defense this year. Not starting to see, that we've seen for most of the season. These guys have been playing really physical up front. That defensive front has been game wreckers. Those guys have really been pushing the pocket. You got two great edge rushers, and those linebackers that we've got are sideline to sideline guys, and they come in, they bring the heat when they are coming downhill in the running game. And so I think that's probably the biggest difference. That's what Coach Steele always preached when I was there is we're going to play fast and we're going to play physical. We're going to get after you. You're going to feel it after you play us each and every single week. And that's kind of what we were missing is this is our game to go out there and win. Let's go out there and get these guys off the field, 3 and outs. Let's be physical. Let's show up and gang tackle. Don't make it easy on them. Come up there and wrap these guys up, get them on the ground, be physical. That's what he's always talked about. And he's great at keeping it simple too. Sometimes you can try to overcomplicate some defensive schemes when you've got some complicated offenses that you're trying to go against. You know what they're going to be doing, a lot of different motions and pre-snap movements and all this other stuff. He always wanted us to be comfortable and know what we're supposed to go do and not have any hesitation to what our role is out there so that we could go play fast, because you've got phenomenal athletes out there. And if you're not in the perfect defensive call, that's okay with this group, because you've got guys that can make up for it in talent. And that's how he likes to play defense. Know what you're doing. We don't want you to be thinking too much while you're out there. Let's go play physical. You're an athlete. Be the athlete. And it's been fun to watch seeing this defense come around from where they were last year.
And in terms of the secondary, we have seen a few big plays here and there from opponents, but nobody has successfully, for 4 quarters, been able to pick apart this Crimson Tide secondary.
Yeah, that's probably one of the better units on this field right now, and it's coming with some new faces. You got the freshman Caleb Downs, who's really been an impact player for this defense this season. But I'm really impressed with what Terrion Arnold's been able to do this year. Obviously, he was hurt a little bit. But Trey Amos comes in and fills in quite nicely for them. And they moved some guys around, being able to play multiple positions, which is not easy to do. But they don't give up big plays. Obviously there were a few in that Texas game that cost us. But for the most part, these guys have really been locking down some pretty good receiver units, especially from Texas A&M and a few other teams that we've faced this year. These guys aren't giving up much. They're making it tough, trying to, a lot of teams are going to try to take some deep shots. We put these corners on islands. We don't make it easy on them. We're not going to give you a lot of over-the-top help, and you've got to be a confident player to play corner at Alabama, because you're one-on-one. You don't have any help inside or outside or over the top. You got to go out there and play, and Coach Saban's not going to change his motto on that. That's how he likes to play his defense. He feels like it frees up these linebackers to be able to play the run and help in the passing game. And the safeties, like we've seen, Caleb Downs is one of the leading tacklers of this team. He's able to come down and be a part of the running game and shutting it down as well. You can't do that if you're asking, the safeties to be over the top, playing a lot of zone coverage, which, we're not always man-to-man. We're doing a lot of pattern matching and some zone as well as man-to-man, but these guys seem to grasp the concepts that that Coach Saban wants to go out there and play with, and we've got a great unit out there.
We're talking about the start of the season for Alabama. The game that really stands out to me that's looking better and better each week, the Ole Miss victory. Only allowed 10 points to the Rebels, and they have been lighting up everybody since then.
Yeah, including this LSU team that we're facing this week. The defense has been, something that we haven't seen from LSU, giving up the number of points that they're giving up this season. And Ole Miss goes out there, and I can't remember, it was over 50, I believe, is what they ended up, 52 or something like that. That Ole Miss game looks really good. From you look at what Ole Miss has been able to do every single week outside of us. They're putting up 30 to 40, 50 points every single game. And this defense, they're 16th in the league of points per game allowed. I think it's just around 16 or 17 points allowed per game. And it's 16th in the country. I mean, that means there's some pretty good defenses out there as well. But in today's day and age, with the offenses that we're facing and the pace of play that we see from a lot of these offenses, to only be averaging, giving up 16 to 17 points a game, That's huge. And this weekend is really going to be a test because LSU is the number one offense in the country, averaging around 47, 48 points a game. So this is going to be a matchup of strength on strength. It's going to be a good one. And this defense is really we're going to lean heavily on them this weekend because this is, this offense from Brian Kelly and Jaden Daniels, they know how to put points on the board. It's going to be a tough one.
And Corey Reamer, we talked a little bit about it getting ready for the Tennessee game. How much is the revenge factor on the minds of these Crimson Tide players, or is this year just a new year, a new game?
I mean, it is because there's so many different faces, but a lot of these players were involved in last year's game. 2 tough losses on the road for this team last year, LSU being one of them. And the way that game ended, too, Brian Kelly opting to go for 2 in overtime to get the win. You know that these guys, it really doesn't even take a loss to get motivated for LSU because LSU over the last, 12, 13 years.
Saban era.
Yeah, it's pretty much since Coach Saban got there. Originally it was a game that meant a lot because he was now in Tuscaloosa, and then it became a game that meant a lot because LSU was that team in the West that was really giving Alabama the most competition on who was going to be the ones out of the West to go to Atlanta. And I think that every game that we've played almost, and maybe outside of a couple years ago, it's been 2 teams that are ranked inside the top 20 each and every single year. And it's always been, we've had the game of the year, the 9-6 game back in 2000, what was that, 11? Turn around, play them again in the national championship game and get the better of them there. But every single game, it's not been blowouts, or it's just been, or it has been because one or the other has been so good. That 2019 LSU team with Joe Burrow, who just beat everybody. And then you turn around the next year and you got the Mac Jones and Alabama that just blows out everybody in the SEC during COVID. Outside of those 2 games, this game has always been a physical matchup. And a lot of guys that are on this roster in Tuscaloosa have ties to the LSU, to the state of Louisiana. So it means a lot from a number of different reasons. You add in the fact that they got the win last year at their place in overtime, how physical that game was, and all the different ups and downs of that game. It really wasn't a high scoring game. You might look at the scoreboard now and see a lot of points that got scored, but it was a 17-15 game with 4 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. I mean, and then all of a sudden we get exploded for some points and then it goes into overtime. But this is always a great matchup. It's one that you've always got to be glued to. You're playing at night at home in Tuscaloosa this year, and these players. You heard a couple of them say they want to give Coach Saban a nice little birthday present with a win, but you got to go out there and be ready to go because no matter what, this LSU team they have just as much not revenge, but it means a lot to both of these programs.
Certainly does. And again, happy birthday to Coach Saban coming up tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow's a big day. 72 years old, still going strong. I said the other day, I was like, if I'm 72 and I can still move around and look like him, I've done something right. Yeah.
Absolutely. It sounds like you celebrated with the family and friends at the lake over the weekend, and now he is all business. He is ready to go.
Yeah. He said it, I think it was either in his press conference today that, holidays and birthdays don't mean anything when they happen during football season. So, and I can promise you that he does not want to hear anybody say happy birthday to him in the complex this week. He is focused on this game. It's funny that this game kind of surrounds his birthday, so that he's going to be he's geared up and ready to go. And happy birthday to him. Hope he enjoys it. But the only way he's going to enjoy his birthday is if we have a good practice tomorrow. If we've got a bad practice, he's going to have the worst birthday he's ever had. So hopefully the team can deliver for him.
Again, if you missed last night's edition of Crimson Tide Rewind presented by the Alabama Department of Public Health, the full episode is available on the CTSN YouTube page as well as the Alabama Insider podcast. It's time to take a look at what's coming up on the Crimson Tide Sports Network, and that's always thanks to our friends at Wickles Pickles. They are wickedly delicious. We got the label on the screen now. Wickles Pickles. We always have the pickle chips, sometimes the relish with us on set. You can go online to wicklespickles.com to find out more. Let's see what's coming up on the Crimson Tide Sports Network this week. In addition to plenty of social media clips coming out over the next few days on all of our social media accounts, coming up on Thursday as the calendar turns to November, we'll have another edition of Crimson Drive at 2 o'clock right back here on the CTSN social media platforms. Also Tide TV this week, hosted by Kenzie Hughes. Check that out on the Alabama Athletics YouTube channel, plus our television affiliates across the state. And then at 6:30, it'll be Hey Coach and the Nick Saban Show at Baumhauer's Victory Grill here in Tuscaloosa. We look forward to Eli Gold hosting Coach Saban at the restaurant once again to get ready for Alabama against LSU. Speaking of that, on Friday, we will have on YouTube and Instagram our LSU game preview, and then on Saturday, it's game day. The Crimson Tide and the LSU Tigers kick it off at 6:45, so that means our radio coverage will start a little earlier than normal, not just 3 hours prior to kickoff, but 3 hours and 15 minutes. So an extended pregame show coming up starting at 3:30 all across the network. On Sunday, Coach Saban will talk about the game with Chris Stewart on the Nick Saban television show, and then on Monday, it's going to be busy on the network on radio because we're going to have Crimson Tide Rewind, of course, with Corey Reamer's thoughts on the Alabama-LSU game, but we'll have that doubleheader of basketball coming up to start the regular season. The women's team at 4:30 against Alabama State, and then the men's team at 7 o'clock against Morehead State. So we're getting into the overlap season of Alabama football and basketball. It should be a lot of fun. Less than a week away, the basketball season will have started in Tuscaloosa, and of course, we've got you fully covered here on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. That's going to wrap up this Tuesday edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. Special thank you to our guest, Deontae Lawson, as well as Sylvester Croom, plus Corey Reamer with his time last night for Crimson Tide Rewind at Baumhauer's in Vestavia Hills. Thanks to Ethan Carabin, our video producer, for putting this entire show together. And for everybody at the Crimson Tide Sports Network, this is Roger Hoover saying happy Halloween, happy birthday, Coach Saban, and thanks again for watching Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. We'll see you right back here on Thursday at 2 o'clock. Until then, have a safe week. Roll Tide, everyone.